What do you think your 18 or 19-year-old self would think of your 56-year-old self?
I think that she would look at that person and be like, how the hell did I get there? How the hell did I do all that? How did I get brave enough to do that? How did I have the confidence to do that? I'm nowhere near courageous enough to do those things and handle that stuff.
How did you do that and get where you're at without your mom?
Yep.
How did you raise your kids, go through your divorce,
Yep.
go through other hard shit? I think she would be very happy that we are happy at 56.
What would you tell your 18 or 19-year-old self?
Oh, relax, girl.
Chill the out. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh my God, like, you're not going to marry him. Get over it. He's a loser. Move on.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to Drinks with the Girls. We are here for another episode and are glad you are too. Today, I am drinking the most boring thing I've ever had in my cup.
Wow, that's setting the bar.
I know, right? I'm trying to really stay hydrated and get all my, 64 or 84 or however many 4 ounces I'm supposed to get. So I have ice water.
Samesies. That's about where I'm at. I have an Arbonne tart cherry energy fizz, which is a retired flavor, but I'll put a link in the show notes to all the good flavors because it's lovely.
Today, we are going to talk about something kind of fun, and that is reunions. Lisa just went to her, what was it, your 35th?
35th college reunion.
35th college reunion. So we're going to get into that and talk about that a little bit. But we're also going to talk about all the different kinds of reunions and the reunion that Lisa and I actually had that kind of prompted this podcast.
Yeah, and if you're a longtime listener, you may recall that we did an episode right at the beginning called Lisa and Karen's High School Reunion. That was actually part of our 2-part 80s episode. It's great. Give it a listen. But we just kind of called it that because we were talking about high school, so it wasn't really about the topic. So now we're going to really dive in.
Yes. So why don't we'll just start with your experience in your reunion, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So I've talked about my alma mater, Smith, ad nauseum on this podcast. And, it's a special place. It's an all-women's college still. This is a 150-year-old tradition. That's how long the college has been on this planet. And ours was pretty special because we have not been back in 10 years because COVID robbed us. And our class is really, really tight. I think we became really bonded over the last couple of reunions. And so it is a really, really special thing. And they've had to split it into 2 reunions because they're so popular. So we are on reunion 1, which is the first weekend, which is the weekend that the seniors graduate. And that's super fun. The next one is the week after, and the seniors aren't graduating then. There's pretty special things that happen in both. So we have like this parade, right? And it's kind of funny.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So do you stay for both weekends?
No, you don't stay for both weekends. You're either at reunion 1 or reunion 2, depending on where you're at. So for example, and we'll talk about this, they considered the 35th reunion a milestone reunion, and it wasn't before. And what they mean by that, so typically it's like your 25th reunion, your 50th reunion, like your 10th, that kind of thing. But this is super interesting because they did research and they found that the 35th reunion, this time in women's midlife, 56, 57, women are desperate for connection. Hello, like that's how we built a podcast and community. And they're like, no, we need to make this a milestone because the data was just coming back that people were craving that. And so that's why they did it on the first weekend.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yay,
So
Smith College.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only bummer about it is that the eldest alums only attend the second weekend because they need like space. And I swear to God, I cry every single freaking time, and I'll get emotional just talking about it. But it's like these women in like their 80s and 90s who are coming to their, oh God, here we go, coming to their reunion because it's literally that important to them. And they have people pushing them in wheelchairs. They're in walkers, and it's insane. And you just sit there and you're like, oh my God, I'm part of this powerful thing. So it's insane. So there's a bunch of traditions. The Saturday, so we usually get there on a Thursday night. We have class dinners and things like that. And we stay in the dorms. We stay in the houses. So that's hilarious because this time around we were like, how the hell did we sleep on these beds when we were 18? Like, what in the hell is going on here, right?
Because your body was young and
Oh
pliable.
my
and
God.
You could like that when you're 18.
Holy crap. We were all just like, God, no wonder we all got futons, right? And so, and you're back at campus, and, you know, I knew I was going to meet up with some good friends, but I was sitting in like the main house that we were in, and I turn around, and my best friend from college, she was in my wedding, love her to bet, shout out to Cynthia, showed up, and I turned around and I saw her, and I just ran over and burst into tears. Like, we literally haven't seen each other, God, 8 years? Something like that, like in person. And I just sobbed, and it was just like, oh my God, you know? And so I was on a floor above her, and we both had open doubles for some weird reason. So I was like, screw this. Brought my stuff down and just stayed with her, and we were roomies the whole weekend, which was awesome. So, you know, you have dinners and you kind of reunite with people on campus. I went to visit an old professor of mine who my daughter's named after, and that was super special. And then on Saturday, we have this event that's a parade, right? And each class has their own color. I won't even get into it, but there's like this set of 4 primary colors. And so they stagger them so the parade's all colorful, and we all wear white. It's a big thing. So it's like the sea of white with colors. And the seniors are there. And so we parade around, and we always pick a theme. So our theme was Gen Extraordinary. And so then we carry these dumb signs that are just stupid jokes. We were definitely on a roll with fighting the patriarchy. So we were pretty spicy.
Love it.
I don't know that a lot of the signs are podcast appropriate at this point, so I'll just leave it there, but it was great. And then the graduates are the last to come through. So they're out there, they're in white, they have roses, and we walk by them. And it's like, that's the moment they realize that they're joining this tribe of 56,000 women worldwide. You could literally get stranded, I always tell people, in an airport anywhere, and you'd have a place to sleep in an hour. Like, that's the code. And it's just so moving because you can see these young women that kind of drop and realize that they're entering this sisterhood, and half of them are just bawling, and they're realizing it, and we're clapping them and saying, you did it. It's so freaking powerful. I can't even describe it. It's amazing. And we'll get into kind of the emotions and the feelings about it because I'm still kind of processing the whole thing, but it's super special. So yeah.
I have so many things coming up right now, but I think too, you know, when you talked about seeing your bestie, Cynthia, I correlate friends like that and friends that we don't see very often. I had an experience similar to that a couple weeks ago. I saw my best friend who I haven't seen for a while, and we've both had really, really heavy things happen in our lives in the past, you know, well, almost year, but it's like, you remember when you were a little kid and you're like 7 years old and you fall down or something at school, and then after school when you see your mom, you just run into her arms and you fall to pieces.
Yep.
It's that feeling.
Yeah,
it's that
totally.
feeling of like safety.
Yep.
And like, oh my gosh, I can just totally let all this go right now because
Yep.
I've been holding it in for so long.
Yep. And 10 years, 8 years, whatever, just disappears. It just disappears. And we had the same thing. Like, she's gone through a lot of crap, and so have I. And yeah, I hadn't put that together until now, but that's 100% what it is. And I think as women, like, we hold it together so hard and so long, and it's always just like, I cannot go down, the ship cannot go down with me. And like, you can let it go for like the first time when you're with this person. And I'm glad you said that. I had not made that connection, but I think you're 100% right. I really don't want to cry through this whole episode. This is gonna be a long one if I
let
do.
the tears go. Let them go.
Like, get it together. Oh my God. Okay.
Well,
Next
and
up.
I think too, every time we talk about our moms or like my college experience with the University of Redlands, you kind of talk about it in a way where, because I have, I had made some good connections. I still am friends with them, but you talk about how your experience just wasn't the same, or you had like this expectation.
Yep.
But it sounds like yours was freaking better.
So
I mean, not better. Sorry, my deltas. No, not better. But like the fact that it's all women, and that especially at this reunion, you have the octogenarians, and then you have the babies who are just graduating and they're just joining, and they don't even know how special this is. They're learning, they're seeing at this reunion, right?
Yeah.
But I just think I'm giving myself goosebumps, but because I'm envisioning this for you. The fact, yes, that you have this built-in sisterhood, that is special. That is
insane.
unique.
It's insane. And I will say this. My time there, like the actual time spent, was difficult. It was rough. I mean, like, it is freaking hard school. Like, you don't go there to just like party. Like, you go there and you study your ass off, because everybody is studying their asses off, right? Because you don't get in there unless you do. And so it wasn't always easy. I felt like a fish out of water. I just felt disoriented, like the ocean was on the wrong side and like the light was different and all that. So the actual experience of going through it was difficult for sure. And like my bestie and I didn't connect until we were juniors because I moved houses. So that was part of it, is going and expecting this whole like Redlands situation and not really having that, and feeling like I didn't fit in. So the interesting part of this is, what I found is exactly what you said. The gift, the beauty of all of this is not only the gift of going to this elite school and with all that, that comes with that, but the gift is a lot of the people that are my besties now in that class, we connected afterwards at reunions. Like, it grew through that, and our class actually became tighter through that period and through the pandemic. So it's kind of this living, breathing thing that has morphed into different things and been there for me in very different ways. But yeah, we're all acutely aware of how special it is, and people are fiercely protective of it. It's,
I imagine
there's no, the only women's colleges left that haven't merged with a men's college in the Ivy League are Smith, Wellesley, and I think Swarthmore, although I think Swarthmore might be co-ed. No, we're one of like a few. There's not because here's the thing. Nobody can afford to be single sex, but our endowment, because people give, is ridiculous, and we are need blind, which means that literally any woman that qualifies to go to that school can get all the financial aid they need to be there. And that's a commitment that people have. And I think the other piece to it that I learned is, you're never going to be that protected and safe as a woman again.
Right. Yes.
You're never going to be in a place where you can be as smart as possible and no one's going to stomp you down. You can do all the things. You can try all the things. You can reach great heights. You can all that. That is never going to happen again. And it is rough in re-entry in the real world. And I think that's another reason why we're so tight afterwards, is people, I look at those girls, there's young women standing there crying and applauding, and it's like, drink it all in.
Right. It's almost like, buckle up, girl.
Yeah. We're here for you. We got you. But life is about to get real.
So let me ask you this. How do you feel in general? Well, I don't want to say in general about Smith because I think your reunions with Smith is so special. They're like in a little league of their own. How do you feel about high school reunions?
Okay, so full transparency, I've only been to one high school reunion, and I was thinking about this today, my 10th reunion, and it was okay, but I'm literally not connected to anybody I went to high school with anymore. The friendships have either just kind of faded away or purposely gone away. I also don't live in Southern California, and a lot of people, I went to school there, a lot of people just kind of faded away versus you who are about to marry your high school sweetheart. So it's a different, right? It's a different vibe.
Okay, take it easy with the M word, first of all.
Girl, you're flashing that big ring. I know. I'm sorry. I don't want to traumatize you. You are cohabitating with and in love with your high school sweetheart. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes. No, we are engaged, and I call him my forever fiance because, I mean, why? Why do we need to do anything else?
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers, like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
I think I've been to one high school reunion, my 20th actually. And that was because one of my best girlfriends from high school, she really forced me to go. And I was glad I did. I mean, I don't have any regrets, but I don't really have fun memories. I don't have, the people that I want to be connected with, I have reconnected with probably within the past, 10 years via Facebook.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, I have no desire to do high school reunions. College, I've been to a few of my college reunions, especially when we were younger. Those were fun.
Yep.
But I haven't been to one in a while.
Yeah. Redlands does them a little bit more similar in the way to Smith, right? There are some special things and stuff like that. So it's definitely not just, hey, just shut up for the homecoming game and to tailgate. Like there are some things, and I know my parents would go back for theirs for sure. So I can see that.
Yeah. And they do the big ones like when was it? It must have been, was it in 2000? Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. I should know this. I should brush up on my own reunion history before we talk about reunions. But yeah, that was a big freaking deal. And in every single class, it was a big to do. And when you were talking about, some of the things with your reunions, that it is similar to Redlands. Yeah. So what would you say over the years? Well, I guess you've only been to one other reunion, right? You've been to two of your Smith reunions?
No, I've been to multiple ones. I went to my 25th, went to my second. I feel like there was another one in there somewhere, but I don't know. But interestingly enough, this one was the one where there was the most cognitive dissonance for me. And what I mean by that is I felt like I was in a frickin' like Doctor Who novel. It's like, I'm 56. Now I'm 18. Wait, no, I'm 50. Now I'm 19. 50. Like it was, I don't remember feeling that when I was at the other reunions. And it was lovely and wonderful. I don't mean to demean that, but that whole time shift thing, I'm still kind of processing. And, my friend and I talked about it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I think it's because I'm going through a lot of stuff and people haven't seen me in a long time. And these are my besties, right? Like they really like, it's not like, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Right. Like they want to know. So that's part of it. 'Cause there's some intense shizzle going on in my life. And my friend said, and I think it was spot on. She said, it's a different world now, and a not so nice world in ways that we could have never imagined in a million years. Yeah. And it was so much simpler back then. And like I said, we didn't know that. And now here we are looking at our 18, 19, year old selves in the mirror with that. And it's different. Although I have to tell a funny story. So we go down, and in the past, the food has been really good. at this reunion. We were kind of disappointed. So we're like, all right, let's go down the tent and see. And we're like, ugh, dinner's gross. Okay. Well, let's go to town and get something. I don't want to lose my parking space, she said. I was like, okay, well, we'll walk. So we're on our way to dinner. All of a sudden, we just start cracking up. And it's like, oh my God, this was like every week of our senior year. Same thing. Is dinner gross? Can we afford to go out to dinner? I don't want to lose my parking space. So let's just walk downtown. And we were just doubled over laughing. And it was like, just like that, we're back, you know? So anyways.
That's awesome. What do you think your 18 or 19-year-old self would think of your 56-year-old self?
Such a good question. I think that she would look at that person and be like, how the hell did I get there? How the hell did I do all that? How did I get brave enough to do that? How did I have the confidence to do that? I'm nowhere near courageous enough to do those things and handle that stuff and go through what that person is going through. That's terrifying. Like, I honestly believe that's what that person would say. How about you?
Probably something similar, and probably how did you do that and get where you're at without your mom? Like,
Yep.
how did you raise your kids? You know, go through your divorce,
Yep.
go through other hard shit. I think she would be very happy, you know, that we are happy at 56. And because, you know, I think my 18, 19-year-old self was pretty insecure. And so
Same.
to look at the confidence level that I have and the big decisions in my life that I've been able to do in pursuit of our happiness, you know, I think she would be able to take a breath.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn it on its head. What would you tell your 18 or 19-year-old self?
Oh, fucking relax, girl.
Chill the fuck out. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh my God, like, you're not going to marry him. Get over it. He's a loser. Move on. I'd say that about 30 times.
I mean, I've always been a pretty laid back person. I've never been wound super tight, but I would just tell myself to just stop overthinking things. Don't worry about it. It'll all work out, and just do the best you can. And it's not so serious. You
Yeah.
know, just relax.
I look at that girl, and I would say, in addition to what you said, I would say, stop devaluing yourself. Stop thinking you have no value to the world. Stop thinking that you are not enough and that you don't bring a gift to people. Stop.
Yeah.
Because I think that I just felt like I was constantly apologizing for myself and constantly, you know, turning into water to fit whatever crevice it was. And like, just who cares what other people think? Like,
Yeah.
good God, you know?
And I think that's the thing is, you know, gosh, if we could go back and just put our arms around our younger selves and say, you are amazing. And you don't need to change yourself. You don't need to fit into any fad. You don't need to buy into the bullshit. Just be you.
Yep.
And it'll all be great, you know? But
And also that guy you think is cheating on you. Yeah, he's cheating on you. So the other thing that we didn't have at 18 and 19 was social media. And that is a double-edged, triple-edged sword. And there are a lot of people out there, and I completely get it, that are just anti-meta, right? And I don't know if I'm like a meta fan. Like, I have to be on social media. Karen does too for our business. But here's the bargain with the devil, right? If you want the reunions with the old friends, you got to pay the meta piper. And there's just a lot of people that are like not willing to do that anymore. But I will hear from people all the time. Like, I have a support group that I run on Facebook, and people will literally tell me, like, that is the only reason I'm on Facebook. And there's some people that are on Instagram and not Facebook. So, I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, because remember when Facebook first came out and it was kind of fun, kind of exciting, but kind of like scary, It's like, I don't know if I want, it's like that was your first, like, let me dip my toes in.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at us. Like now it's just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
your information is everywhere. You're
Yep. Yep.
everywhere.
And I actually got
Um,
hacked on Facebook. I lost my account on Christmas. Bastards.
oh,
They hacked into my account. They started an ad account. And I had been running some ads, and so it's this scam that they run where they do that and they like duplicate your ad account and start trying to charge up your card. And they put these ads for things that are just like pornographic. And so Facebook shuts down the account and then they try to steal the credit card. Well, luckily, I figured out pretty quickly what was going on and shut everything down. So you pay the piper,
Hey there, I'm Lisa Coricella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. Plus, I'm beyond excited to announce the launch of my new membership, the Empowered Parent Collective, this March. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together. Cheers.
So that's the downside of it. But here's a story about the good side of it. It's our story.
I mean, exactly what we're talking about, reunions. Like you and I would not be having this podcast if it wasn't for social media. Yeah, and the way that you and I just so seamlessly after 40 years?
Easily.
How many years?
Easily.
Right?
Yeah. No joke, listeners.
And
here's a tip. We haven't seen each other in real life 40 years. Like we're not, that's not a promo. Like that's true.
Yeah. And we were not, I mean, not that we were not friends, because obviously if, I'm 30, if we're in our 30s and something happens and we would have needed to contact the other, of course we would be like, okay, what do you need? I'm here.
Yeah.
But we just were not actively in each other's lives. We weren't friends per se, or any of that. So yeah, I mean, this has been the most fantastic reunion. And the way that you and I just fell into this friendship and this partnership, so easily has just been exciting.
And
what do you think?
We say this all the time, but it's like, I can't imagine doing this with anyone else. Literally. I don't know if listeners, the story, but so, the good old algorithm, right? She started popping up on my feed and she has all these fantastic social media reels that I always aspire to. And so I followed her and was just seeing those and blah, 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 blah. And I was at a point in my business and my life where I was like, something's got to change. Like I got to figure something out. And I'm her target market is midlife women. And so, I reached out and I was like, I don't know if this is a fit for me, but I don't think I do this with anyone else but you, because you know me, like, let's try it. And so I became a client of hers for a few months. And so it was a business relationship, right? But around that friendship. And as we went through the coaching process, which was fantastic, by the way, I talk about this all the time. Talk to Karen. Things started coming up, right? Because we had this shared language, because like our moms were best friends, because we had similar, we had almost like a genetic code, like this history, this shared history just kind of did that. And I can't even remember how it happened, but somehow podcasting came up. Right? Like I'm trying to remember. Maybe you remember the story better. I don't know.
I don't remember the story exactly. A podcast has been on the back of my mind for like 5 years. My best friend sent me a book on podcasting probably 5 years ago because what was happening in my life, and just because of my not confidence in like the tech pieces, I never did anything. And so at the end of our working relationship together, you said, would you want to do a podcast? And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then there we go.
Yeah. And for me, that was something I had been thinking about, not for 5 years, for sure, but people in my situation that did what I did were starting to do podcasts to be able to reach out to different clients and just, get their businesses going. And so, we kind of talked about the fact that, yeah, we wanted to have a vehicle that would attract clients to our businesses, but we also really had a very deep commitment to serving this community. And it grew from there. Like if it was just like a business thing, I don't know. I think we probably would have done a few episodes and then just been like, whatever, right? But through this process, we became super close. Like she's one of my best friends now. And that was all because of the truth bearing and the fact that we committed to show up 100% raw and honest. And it's like we were joking before we started recording, like our first like episodes like were scripted like to the nines. I think we did a pretty good job, but we were just like, oh my God, like what are we going to say if we don't know? And somewhere between episode 1 and episode 50, we were like, fuck it. And just kind of threw the script out of the window, right? And just now it's just like, these are the things we want to talk about. Now we have to get a little tighter about it when we have guests, obviously. But like the 80s episodes, we were just shooting the shit. Like that was not planned. We were just talking one day and all this stuff came out. And that kind of, I think, started the confidence. We're like, oh, we can actually like have a conversation.
No, back it up. No. Okay. There was one episode, and I wish I could remember which one it was, but instead of doing a script, it was just questions. And you had deer in the headlights. You were just like, oh, you were a little...
I was nervous. Yeah, I was nervous.
And I'm like, we got this, girl. It's okay. Yeah. And granted, it's harder. It's not as easy to just look at questions and decide what are you going to talk about and then keep the natural flow, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and we had some stumbles, but it all worked out.
The other point I remember is the gratitude episode, right?
Oh,
and listeners,
God.
You have to pull that up, right? So that's the opposite, right? So that was still in our like, okay, let's script it. Like, let's, so it's for Thanksgiving. And so we started doing it. And like 5 minutes in, we were like, this is a piece of garbage.
This sucks.
It
this
was
is
like,
so terrible.
We were just like, I would not listen to me. I am bored with the sound of my voice saying these words. This is god awful. Screw it. And we threw the script out and just started talking. And I don't know that it's one of our best performing episodes, but I turned out a hell of a lot better than it would have if we went on the script.
Definitely.
So there's definitely been these kind of truth falls that we've done with each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. I want to talk about the reunion that we don't really talk about, and that is being reunited with different parts of ourselves, whether it's a dream that we put on hold, it was a creative side of ourselves that we kind of buried, the joy that we traded for our to-do list, whatever it is. Because I think that those types of reunions for women at this stage in life are really pivotal. Can you think of one that you've had, a reunion with yourself?
For me, what I just think back on is it's this series of kind of rediscoveries and just realizing that I was more confident than I thought I was. I had more skills than I thought I did. I don't have to live my life for what people think. And just, it was kind of reconnecting those confidence receptors, I guess, for lack of a better word, right? And just feeling more integrated. When we're younger, we are split 9 ways to Sunday. Like, we go where the wind goes. Like, we don't have that kind of core concept of ourselves and kind of where we are in the world. I think we don't know our place in the world at all. And I don't mean like your place. I mean like just like what is our purpose? Like, where are we in this crazy life? How about you?
I think for me, being reunited with just the quote unquote like farm girl. Growing up with horses, my horses were never on my property, but we rode horses for many, many years, my siblings and I. And once I went to college, that kind of went away, and although my sister still had horses, my mom, they still had horses. Now, flash forward, living on 3 acres in the same town that I used to compete at, I used to do 3-day eventing in Fallbrook, and my mom is just doing a jig of glee. I swear, when I bought this house, she was probably just so tickled because she was the biggest horse girl of all of us. But I think just kind of reconnecting with that part of myself that I just really let fall away, going to college and getting married and then raising kids and then living at the beach. You don't have farm animals when you're at the beach, right? So, yeah, I think just being reunited with her again and just deciding, how do I want this dream to fit into my life now at this point?
Like, we've talked about this idea that, midlife is a point where people are really like, they're either going to double down on their dreams or they're going to be like, yeah, it's too late. Right. And I think that is a reunion of sorts. Like, it takes,
For sure.
It takes some confidence. Like, we just recently did an episode with Sue Willoughby, who's a Equus coach. And she talked about, like, one of her main messages being, women at this age need to get out of their comfort zone. Right. And we've talked about that before too. And the comfort zone it's not a good place.
It's like jail.
In a lot of ways.
I mean,
it's like golden
can keep
handcuffs.
you trapped in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's kind of this, we talked about the younger self kind of not feeling connected to the world. I think it kind of happens again in midlife. I think that you get to the point where you're like, who am I? What am I? What is my purpose? What, right? So it's almost like kind of the second coming of that reorientation, right? And so the concept of reunion, like you finding your farm girl self, right? Like me connecting with, my inner warrior woman. Like it's just kind of that touch point in life where you have to be like, okay, is this who I really am? Am I going to double down on that? Or am I just going to hang out where it's safe and just think about the things that could have happened?
You need to make a decision, at this point in life. It's like you have to decide, am I okay with just okay? Am I okay settling maybe for this life or this version of me? Or do I want to frickin' go for it? And do I want to really just see how amazing my life could be? But that takes a lot of freaking courage to do that. And let's talk about being reunited with like your pleasure and your joy, right? Your desires. Because I think for so many women, we spend decades just taking care of everybody else. And then we get into that survival mode. We are over functioning. All women over 40 are over functioning. I guarantee it.
100%.
Right? And we get so far away from our purpose, our passions, our desires, our joy, our fucking pleasure, right? So being able to be reunited with that is such a homecoming, but it's hard for women. Women cannot just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do some stuff for myself today and not feel guilty about it. It's unhooking from all that conditioning and those decades of just, taking care of everybody and having ourselves be on the back burner.
Yeah. Like today I was thinking, I always say life has been crazy lately. And I'm just like, when is it not going to be crazy? And there's just, I'm not even going to get into it, but there's a lot going on, a lot of just like stuff I've had to do and just like processes and projects and blah, 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 blah. And my husband, I'm working and my husband calls from the other room. Hey, so my son's graduating on Tuesday. We're all super excited. It's amazing. We didn't think he would get a diploma.
Deal.
It's a huge
so
deal.
Exciting.
Yep. It's not a certificate of attendance. I know. It's not a certificate of attendance. He earned those credits. It's modified, but he earned those credits. And we are just over the moon about it. But him being in a giant auditorium with a bunch of people and having to wait and go through all that is a lot. And so my husband rightly was like, do we have a plan? Like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, his teachers are going to be there at rehearsal. I think they might be there at graduation. He's like, yeah, but I'm talking about what's the plan if he wants to leave? And I was like, that's a really good question. I am maxed out today. I cannot do this. Like, it's not that I don't think it's important. Like, I need you to call his teachers and like figure out like what the options are, because it's not that I don't think that it's an important thing, but I can't do it anymore. So understanding that, and he was great about it. He was like, I get it. No problem. But that's taken a long time for me to be okay with that. Right. And feel like I could say that. And it doesn't mean I'm not a good mom. And it doesn't mean I don't think it's important. I just had an insanely busy day with like fires showing up everywhere that I had to put out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to happen. So yeah.
It's so ironic that you say that, because I had lunch today with two of my dear, dear friends, and we started out our conversation, and I don't even know how it came up, but talking about how women are just used to handling it all. And, I don't want to be sexist. And again, we love men. We're not men haters, but this is our reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do it all. And then, so the men in our lives don't know how to do some of the things, because we're always, I'll do it. No
and we
problem.
won't let them in a lot of times. That's just, that piece is just as much our fault.
Absolutely. Yes. Because sometimes they're not going to do it the way we want it done.
Yes. And better.
And being able at this stage in our life to actually, like you did today, it's like to be able to say, I can't, I give, you need to do that.
Yep.
I mean, that's a level of freedom, or baby steps towards that freedom.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn. Okay, so there's another kind of big reunion. Family reunions. Okay? That's a whole different animal. It's kind of a hot button topic for me right now. I came from a huge freaking family. My husband does not. And after my mom passed, it pretty much whittled down to nothing. And that has been something I've been grieving for a long time. It's been very, very difficult for me. It's really complicated. Karen, what about you? Like, have you had family reunions? Like, I mean, I had them when I was kids, and it was like being in a lake house with all these people that like I got Christmas cards from, but I hadn't seen in a while. Like, it's kind of a funky vibe in a lot of ways, like they're fun, but they're weird. What do you think?
I've never been to a family reunion. I talk about it with my mom. Was an only child, so yeah, there was no reunioning with anybody over there on her side. But my dad has 3 sisters, and 2 of them live in Connecticut, and my cousins live back east as well. One in Indiana, and one, I think she's in Maine now. But I talk about, wouldn't it be so great if we could do a reunion? But my dad is at the age now where he can't really travel. And so I think getting everybody together would be tricky. And it sounds lovely. Like, it sounds amazing. I wish I could spend like the weekend or a week or even overnight with my cousins and my aunts. And my sisters and my kids and meet everybody's kids and all that. But yeah, I don't think it's in the cards.
So it's interesting to me to hear you say that, because I think you do family reunions all the time. Like, and full disclosure, I get a little jealous, right? And you have like gone about it in the smartest way. Like Karen has the ultimate hack for that. So for example, she does Thanksgiving the Saturday or Sunday before and has this huge house full of people and her family and everything, because then she can see everybody and she doesn't have to share anybody, right? Being a child of a divorce, having, all of that stuff. So I think those are kind of reunions too. I think you're selling yourself short, because I would love to be able to have all of that and have people over to my house. I'm constantly trying to duplicate that and failing.
Well, those are just called the holidays in our family. Like when I think of reunions, I think of like, oh my God, I haven't seen this person in years,
Yeah.
and let's get all the extended everybody together. We're pretty good about, getting together for holidays, and so it's harder now that all of my sister's kids and my kids are older and actually adults and have their own lives, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Ingrates.
yeah. But the holidays are super important, because when we can get everybody together, it's good. It's fun.
And I mean, that's part of the grief for me, is we had massive family holidays. The whole Italian piece, and there were certain things we did on certain days, and then like my mom's family would be, so it was just baked into my childhood. And then like I said, when my mom passed, everything just pretty quickly like disappeared on both sides. So, that is something I think I'll be processing for a long time.
I think that's one of the hard things about reunions. Whether you're talking about, your high school reunion or a family reunion, it's like you build up these expectations in your mind about what it could be. And, sometimes it reaches those expectations, but sometimes we're left disappointed, and then certainly when they go away and you don't have them anymore, you just have that void, then there's some sadness there.
Yeah. I mean, let's get real. Like your high school reunion is not going to be Pretty in Pink part 2.
So, we love to leave you all with some takeaways. So, Lisa, what would you say is your top takeaway from this episode?
I think that, thinking about my recent reunion and kind of everything we've talked about, my message would be reunions can come in different, really unexpected ways. The concept of reunion, some good, some bad. I think this idea of going back in time, revisiting a younger self, revisiting people that you haven't seen in a while, that is it's a ritual, I think is the word I'm looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that, look, sometimes you can't go back to the past, like we all talk about that, right? So it's not going to be, you can't go to any kind of reunion or be in any type of reunion situation and expect it to be like, hey, I'm just going to go back and hang out like I'm 18 again. But I think that if you are able to just stay open and present and just kind of be in that moment, there's a lot of gifts to absorb in a lot of ways. And so I think that's the message I would give, is like, don't be afraid of it, but don't go into it with all these expectations. Just kind of go into whatever type of reunion it is, or reunion, activity with yourself, whatever it is you're trying to do, without an expectation. And I think that is the way to get the most out of it.
Yeah, I think, talking about, what would we tell our younger selves? It just makes me think that acceptance, and of course we can do this now when we are 56 and we can look back, but it's just to accept not only yourself and, things that you may, maybe you didn't do or say or react the way that you would have now. Maybe you regret some things, but understand that it's part of who you are, and to just, I don't know, carry that person along with you and accept her. I mean, I'm thinking just so much about like just reuniting with like parts of yourself and how powerful that is. And I think also, when you do look back, like I say, I look back at high school and I kind of, I just make that face and I kind of cringe a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
It was not a fun time for me. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Me too.
I have reconnected with some of my friends from high school, and I had to be able to like see them with new eyes
Mhm.
almost. And I had to accept that they also were doing the best that they could at that tender age, just like I was, right? So I'm historically not a fan of those types of reunions
Mhm. Mhm.
because I'm like, we can just leave it all there. It's fine. But I think there's so much growth and there's learning to be had if, like you said, if you're open.
Well, and here's the bottom line. You got the best reunion gift ever in the history of reunion gifts. You can't top that. That is the
Yeah.
Pretty in Pink reunion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's yeah, it's pretty fun. And like the fact that I even say that out loud, that, oh yeah, I'm currently in love with, a guy I dated in high school.
yeah, like
Like
done, mic
wild.
drop. You don't
Uh-huh.
need to eat rubber chicken with people that you don't talk to anymore. Like girl, you got the brass ring, like, and we're done,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
going back to the whole reunion with parts of yourself, again, I've said this a million times because I think it's true. Like, I'm still processing this 35th college reunion at Smith. Like, it was a lot. There's just a lot. And just processing where all my friends are at, like what we're dealing with, just all the things. And I think that that's what that cognitive dissonance piece is looking back at my 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21-year-old self and reuniting, like you talked about, reuniting with parts of myself and realizing that not all of them are great, right? But still embracing that. Like, that was the journey that I had to go on, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I can look back at my college experience in that frame of mind much more. Like, I don't look back and cringe. I look back and be like, don't you know that was the beginning of X, Y, and Z, right? Versus
Yeah.
high school where it's just like, oh God. Like, I don't know
Right.
that I'd ever go back for a high school reunion. Like, I have connected with people on Facebook and stuff and we talk, but I don't see myself buying a plane ticket and staying in a hotel in LA just to
Yeah.
go to my high school reunion. That I
Yeah.
don't have any animus, but it just doesn't appeal to me. I don't have a connection with those people anymore.
Right. I think also it just shows you, or for me, it just shows me how much love that girl needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could go back and just wrap my arms around her and just give her so much love and
Mm-hmm.
just build her up and just, you know, because she will fuck up. She did fuck up. She did some stupid shit
Mm-hmm.
and
Same seas.
she's still worthy of love.
Yes. And I think that's the battle when you're young of like,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know if I'm worthy. Right?
Yes.
Like, that's that girl for me, 100%. Like, when I got into college, I was like, okay, I'm worthy because I got in. I'm worthy to be here. I'm worthy to study my ass off and drink it all in and take this knowledge. And like, that wasn't the issue. It was that dissonance. I keep saying this, but that dissonance of expecting the Redlands experience and not having it and just trying to figure out what the heck that was. But if she just would have waited patiently,
Yeah.
she would have got something that was 1,000 times better than that.
And also, she didn't
For
realize
me.
that Redlands experience had to be cultivated also. Like that
Mhm.
Redlands thing had with our parents
Yep.
and with me. Like
Yep.
it happened over time also,
Yep.
but your younger self didn't necessarily see it that way. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to Redlands or I'm going to go to college and I'm going to have this is
Yep.
how it'll be."
Instant besties. I'm going to meet my lifelong
Yeah.
partner. He's going to be friends with a bunch of people who will marry a bunch of my friends. I mean, it's ridiculous, really, right? And then we'll all just like go off into the sunset. Because listeners, literally, that's what happened to our moms. Like, we're not even
Yeah.
exaggerating. So,
Yeah.
like,
But
it's
it
a hard
also
act to
was a
follow.
time when you got married at 22.
Exactly. It's a different
Yeah.
time.
My mom wasn't even graduated from college. They lived
Yeah.
in
My parents neither.
yeah.
They live with my parents.
Exactly. They were neighbors in the married housing on
Yeah.
college campus.
Well, listeners, this has been a fun and interesting journey. I don't know, fun cuts it. It was a little bit more heavy duty than that, but I think that this topic has been one that's been brewing, obviously, because of my experiences, but, really just talking about the story of our reunion and how magical things happen. And like I said, talk about like going in with no expectations and having something wonderful come out of it. Like that's this podcast. But
And I
like,
think that's such a good thing to kind of highlight about our reunion and how we got,
mhm.
reunited. It took stepping out of your
Yep.
comfort zone. You stepped
Yes.
out of your comfort zone. You're like, I don't know what I need. I don't know if coaching is the thing, but I know Karen. I trust Karen,
Hmm.
and let me give it a shot. I mean, it took
Yep.
a lot of freaking courage for you to do that.
Yep. Yep.
And then likewise, when we were like, okay, should we do a podcast?
Sure.
Again, out of our comfort zone. So, yeah, I think the key takeaway, listeners, is get out of your comfort zone
Yeah.
because you don't know what sweet and beautiful
Hmm.
thing is waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, we were Thelma and Louise in that car on that cliff, like just,
Right.
right? Just pressing the accelerator and going, all right, we're either going to die and explode or have the greatest experience of our lives. And here we are. So, like, legit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing, like we've talked about, it has to be cultivated. So, listeners, that's where you come in, right? This community is being cultivated, and we can't do all of it ourselves. Like, you are a part of that, and you are just as important as we are. And how do you cultivate that community with us? Spread the word. Join our pod squad. I promise we're not going to like sell your information to Pepsi, okay? Like relax. Like,
And we won't spam you. We just send you
no.
basically everything you need to know, all the juicy details from the podcast
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. So you have it there. But the other thing you can do is help us tweak the algorithm, right? How do you do that? You share it. Liking is great, but the algorithm isn't going to push it out to more women just if we get likes. Like they have said pretty much that a forward comment is the way to do it. So you can do it that way. You can leave us a hopefully 5-star review. That's another way it pimps the algorithm and sends it out. But also just sharing this episode or any other episode with a girlfriend that you think would resonate with it. Not only does it build the community, but it carries our message, right? It helps women connect in some larger way. I mean, people, we're in 41 countries. It's bananas. I called Karen up, I don't know, like a few weeks ago. I was like, dude, we're big in the Netherlands. She was like, what? Are you kidding me?
Because I'm Dutch.
Right?
Van Osdel. Hello.
Shout out to the Netherlands. Like literally
Right?
in a month, they're becoming, I think they're our fourth largest country in terms of like listeners. Yeah. So Dutch listeners, let us know what you need. Shout out to you.
Listeners, if you could help us just, and we're on all the socials, thanks to Lisa. We are on all the socials, even Pinterest. So even if you just grabbed a link from one of our
Mhm.
socials or grab the link from the podcast and put it on your Facebook page, say, hey, check this out. Something as simple as that. And I know, people are very stingy with their likes and their shares and their comments when it comes to social media and that. But growing this community is so important to us, and we know it's important to you too. The more women that we can have in this community, the better.
Yep. So that's your homework for the next reunion.
There it is.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.